and food in the refrigerator. And then I bought a pot. And so if I get high all weekend, at least I know I somewhere to live and somewhere to eat. Isn't that wise for a dope head? Yeah. And we used to party all weekend. That's when I first bought this house, my first house, at 25. And so I was on pot. And I was afraid to go to the club sometimes. You ever been out, you were high, you're not sure what you're saying. You know, you look, am I saying this thing right? and the people looking at you, you're not sure what, if you have boogers in your nose or what are they looking at because you're too high to tell. Anybody ever done that? That's a fun high. And then when they do last call for alcohol, and they pump the music up at the club, whew, all your high just come out just before you go home. But not anymore. I miss those days. No, I'm just playing. Are we ready? Everybody met Nick, my producer? You never met him? Come here, Nick. He's an anchor baby.
Where do you want me?
This way, this way. So this is Nick. Does he look like an anchor baby?
Do I look it? Yes.
His hair sometimes look like a Mexican because he hasn't been able to get a haircut. And so it's like in the morning when we come in, his hair is all here. I'm like, what the?
It's up to first.
What?
High and tight right now.
Amazing. Welcome to church. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. You can get involved by going to our chat line. Eventually, we're going to be able to take calls again. We're working it out now. So let us know what you want to talk about. We're ready. Good morning again, everybody. Good morning. How y'all? Amazing. It's amazing what's happening in the world, huh? It's like all of a sudden everything changed. Just like that. Anybody here for the first time? Oh, good. So before I get rolling, I want to hear from the first. What's your name?
Brandon.
Brandon. Any questions or comments?
No, I'm just glad to be here.
How did you find out about us?
Oh, been watching on YouTube for a while.
Yeah. And have your life improved in any way?
Dramatically.
From what to what?
Just, playing that, thought I had being depressed and anxious and all that so-called, like you said, it's all nonsense anyways, but, forgave my mom, returned to my father, and it's been like a rocket ship.
Yeah. You went to your mother?
She's dead, so.
She did?
She did.
Yeah.
And, but I went there, and, first I didn't see it, but, keeps more and more keeps getting revealed, and then I went to my dad, and we had a long conversation and stuff, and it was amazing. It really was.
Yeah, man. Where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Kentucky.
But you live here now?
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
You live in Phoenix?
In Phoenix, I drove up yesterday. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So your life is improved. Has improved.
It's amazing. I mean, I get in arguments with people all the time. But, before I was like a people pleaser, but now I just tell people straight up.
Yeah.
It's like, it's right and wrong, good and evil, period.
That's right.
So.
What do you think about this whole Black Lives Matter thing?
I think it's nonsense.
Yeah.
I think the devil's, doing his thing, and we're allowing it to happen. So,
that's right, man.
Yeah.
Have you bowed down to the black?
No. No,
Get
sir.
Get on your knees, boy.
Yeah, right. I see him. It's pathetic, man.
I know. It's ridiculous.
It's demonic,
I saw the National Guard.
Yeah.
Dancing.
I'm in the Army Reserve, so.
They were dancing with the folks.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's fake.
Any questions or anything?
No, I'm just happy to be here.
Oh, okay, good. This your first time?
Well, I came to the men's forum a couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
First time in church, though.
Well, welcome to church.
Thank you.
How's your life going?
It's going pretty well.
Any questions about anything?
No.
No?
No
Oh,
questions.
okay. And what do you think about the Black Lives Matter, all this stuff that's happening right now?
I'm with my man over here. Yeah, I agree. I think it's propaganda. It's about
Sure
control. It's about
Yeah.
money and power,
Amazing.
And it's based on lies. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Have you said that to one of them yet?
Said what?
That is propaganda, is not real.
To one of them who?
Those Black Lives Matter people.
Yeah.
And what did they say?
Well, the only Black Lives Matter people that I know are actually white.
It's funny seeing white people saying Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Mexicans too.
They say it too?
Yeah, one of my friends.
The Mexicans are saying it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he's more white than he is Mexican, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Anybody else first time? Oh, good. This your first time?
Yes, sir.
Oh, what's your name?
Alex.
Alex. Welcome, man. Any questions?
Thank you. Yeah, I had one question.
Okay.
If someone keeps bringing up topics that you disagree with and you try to inform them and every time you just disagree and you don't want to talk about it anymore, what do you do in that case?
You give them the finger and don't talk anymore. Just say, hey, I don't want to talk about it. Because it is a waste of time.
Yeah.
It really is. So just, you don't have to talk about it.
Okay. I
How old are
appreciate-
you?
Me? How old am I?
Yeah.
23.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to talk about it.
Cool.
How's life?
It's a blessing.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You dealt with your mother?
Yes.
How was that?
I just went and forgave her and she just really got emotional and I said, it's okay. You didn't mean it. And ever since then, I've just been doing stuff on my own and not really thinking about what my parents or usually I think about what the closest people think about me, but
Yeah.
I just gave that away and just gave it up to God and let God deal with all that stuff.
Good, man. That is major. It's amazing how easy it is to change, huh?
Yeah.
And no one else know about it for some reason. They don't talk about
Yeah,
how
it's like
easy it is to
in a
change.
blink of an eye, if you just
Yeah.
remember God, it's just nothing can bother you.
Did you believe in God before you changed? Were you a Christian?
Oh, yeah. I
Oh,
was
okay.
born, baptized, I grew up in a very Christian community, but the people
Speak
around
into the
me,
microphone.
the people around me, they didn't really follow in the Word of God. They just maybe talked about it or
Yeah.
they would read the Bible, but in their actions, they wouldn't act in the image of God or what Jesus would do in that moment.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I'm glad that
Thank you.
things are changing. It's amazing. First time?
Yes, sir.
Oh, what's your name?
I'm a disciple of our Lord Jesus Christ. My name is Delaney, and I'm happy to be here.
Good,
First
Delaney.
time, but I've been in the neighborhood a long time.
You been in this neighborhood?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
yeah, I've been in the neighborhood a long time, seen you around, and my church, and most churches, as you probably know, not open, so I thought about coming here and want to see if you guys have reopened, and you
Right
have,
on.
so that's kind of what brought me in today.
Why your church is not open?
You know, most churches are not saying why they're not open. You know, they're just kind of, my opinion, most churches right now are doing what they do even during normal times, which
Yeah.
is they're like this.
Oh, amazing.
That's my impression of most pastors in Los Angeles, with all due respect. They bring the word, for sure. There's a lot of God's work being done in most churches. But when times get tough like this, you see, to some extent, what people are really made of, and it's been kind of disappointing to me to see,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of the churches that have not only not reopened, but not even talking about it. I just don't, it seemed like there are a lot of questions that should have been asked over the last few months about the
Yeah.
fact that we can't worship in person. And so I'm happy to see you guys are here today.
Right on. Any questions for me?
No,
Oh, okay.
not yet.
Well, welcome, man.
All right.
Okay.
Happy to be here.
The young man, this your first time? No, young man way in the back. How you doing, sir?
First of all, thank you for calling me young. Is this working?
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's working.
I was invited here by Costas and his lovely wife, Victoria.
By who?
Costas, my friend Costas over here, and
Oh,
Victoria.
right on.
Raise your hand, Victoria.
Right on.
And,
well, I'm glad you're here. Any questions?
Well, they told me there was a man who's preaching the truth and who hits the point like very few others they've ever dealt with. So already I can see that that's true. One suggestion I have, and I'll pass the mic on, is if anybody asks you to take a knee for BLM, then say, I knee down to one individual, one God,
Yeah.
and I will gladly kneel with you and pray with you, but I will not kneel to you.
Yeah, that's right. it's amazing to me that to see people following these people called Black Lives Matter. That organization was founded by a bunch of black radical lesbians. Did you know that? Most people don't know that. They don't know it's a bunch of black lesbians. And I never thought I'd see a day when people would follow lesbians. It's mind-blowing. I have a cousin, and they're like, oh, Black Lives Matter is right. It's amazing. I'm like, yeah? Oh, yeah, Black Lives Matter. I said, do you listen to them? You follow? Oh, yeah. And I asked, do you know who founded that organization? They didn't know. I said, a bunch of black radical lesbians. They're like, really? And so they stopped following them. They said, they didn't know what was going on. Amazing. Any questions or comments from anybody before I get rolling? No?
I actually had a question.
Right here.
I was wondering.
Hold on for the mic, 1 minute.
So this is also my first time.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Conley.
Welcome, man.
Thanks. I was wondering, like, how this got started.
How Bonnie got started?
Right, like, because not to be offensive, but most people that I know who claim to be Christian wouldn't approve of you.
They would not approve of me?
Would not approve of you.
Isn't that nice?
Right, but I grew up in the church. I walked away. I said, this is all fake. And I just kind of did my own thing for a long time.
Yeah.
And I always considered myself Christian, even while I was doing my own thing. But I wasn't really,
Right.
And then I came back and I realized, okay, I got to actually listen to someone who's speaking the truth. And I did a long search. I found your YouTube. And I'm like, oh, okay, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He's speaking truth. I can hear, the word of the Lord coming out of him. And it's different from a lot of people who try to cut corners, or a lot of pastors seem afraid to me.
Yeah, they're cowards.
Yeah.
They haven't overcome their mothers yet. Isn't
So
that
I'm
amazing?
wondering, like, how did this come about? Like, because most people that I know of who do speak the truth, they're not like publicly saying it. It's
Right.
like private.
Long story short, I used to be a Christian, a fake one. I'm a real one now. And I used to be like you. I would go to church, praise the Lord. Did you see that funeral the other day, how they were shouting? I ain't never seen no funeral like that. That's too much shouting. I saw that this morning on Hate Report. Do you supposed to shout like that at a funeral? They knew they were on TV. But so I was going to church, but I wasn't getting any better. I still had fear and doubt. I couldn't stand up to the ladies that I was dating. I would give into sex and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so one day I asked God to let me see myself, because I realized I didn't really know myself. And he allowed me to see that I resented my mother. And that that void I had was a yearning for my father. I already knew that growing up. And because I thought that I had love for my mother, I felt that emotion, so I thought that was love, but that's come from hate. Mm-hmm. And I went and forgave her. I was 38 at the time. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do in life. It was like going to face Hitler. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so I finally got there, and I went up to her, and I said, hey, long story short, I resent you because you tried to turn me away from my father. You seem mean, even though, I don't know, but she seemed mean.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm sorry for resenting you. My life changed just like that. Everything just changed. I no longer had the fear or the doubt or the worry or anything. And I'm like, wow, I can see now, because I didn't know I could not see. And so with that, I started Bond.
Yeah.
And at first, originally, it was just for black people, because I knew black people had been lied to. And I wanted to meet with them to tell them that they need to be born again of God. It has nothing to do with all this other stuff they've been told. And so one thing led to another. Mm-hmm. And here we are today, 30 years later. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I had no idea that it would grow in the way that it did. And I never had a plan. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what to plan for tomorrow, because no one knows. But he will guide you. And once you wake up, you can give up all your ideas and just take one step at a time. And it's just been that way.
Yeah.
And I've been through a lot, amazing stuff. But it's just fun. It's so amazing. But that's how we got started.
All right, thank you.
All right. How's your life now?
My life's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any question? Any other question?
No,
Okay.
not really.
Anybody else? Yes, Rhema. I went and worked out the other day at a gym. It was a private gym, and it was it was Irma's son. He has a gym, and he's a football player, and that boy worked me out so bad I fell out. When I was done, I just laid out on the floor, and I haven't got my voice back yet. Because he worked my whole body, I could barely walk, but it felt so good. That kind of pain feels good, that workout pain. So if my voice sounds a little weak, that's what it is. I'm still healing. Everything was sore. Yes, Rhema.
Okay, in your personal opinion, do you think somebody like George Floyd should be raised to the level of a martyr? I certainly don't think so.
No, not at all. But that's what they do when they want to gain more money and power. They pretend, yeah.
So they use
like,
his death as a sacrificial right.
Absolutely. Just to get money. They don't care about him at all. During this riot, they killed a cop, a retired cop, a black cop. Two of them.
There's another black cop that got killed. Yeah. And a white cop.
And I thought Black Lives Matter. But nothing said about this guy, no nothing. It's all a lie. It really is. It's a lie. And I was thinking about these folks and how they're carrying on right now over this lie. And I'm thinking that if all white people left America, let's say that white people decide to move down to Alabama and let them have New York and California, Oregon, all the liberal states or whatever they want to call them. They say, okay, y'all can have it. We sorry, Black Lives Matter. So we're going to pack up just what we have in the house. You can have the house, you can have the banks, all the money that's in the banks. You can have it all. And we're all going to move down somewhere else and let y'all have it. In 1 year, it'll be destroyed. It'll be destroyed, it'll be gone. Because it's not about that. It's about character. And all these lies about is racism, is white supremacism, is, what do they call that? It's in the systematic racism or something. What does that mean? I don't even know. Cheryl, what does that mean, systematic racism? Anybody know?
I have no idea.
You don't know?
No, and they won't explain it to you because if they did, you'd probably be like, that is so stupid. So they just keep it to themselves.
It has no
what
meaning.
It is. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
And if it's systematic, it sounds like something you can't see. How you know it's systematic? I don't know. You don't know? What is it, Victoria?
Oh, I don't know. She's messing with me.
So, you guys know? Okay, hold. Did you have your hand?
Apparently.
Oh, hold on 1 minute. Yes. Somebody talking?
Oh, it was me.
Oh, what is it?
All right, racism doesn't exist, but if there is systematic racism, it's affirmative action because it puts blacks and like women of color, things like that, over white people.
But what do they mean when they say systematic racism? It's like saying black and brown, black and brown. They say black and brown, it just rolls off the tongue, and black folks don't even like the Mexicans.
Right, like
They don't even like one another, and they try to pull them in with their mess. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing, they don't, I'm not gonna say all of them, but on the whole, they don't like black people. Like, nobody likes black people, and I don't blame.
Black people don't like black people.
Exactly. So
that's why when they get money, they move out of the hood into the white community.
Okay, but when they say systematic racism, from the ones that I've talked to, what it really is they're just saying that they're being held down or not given certain opportunities because of their race, when it's not that. It's just they don't have
But
the
where
skill
is
set.
systematic racism though? Where is it?
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying the entire system,
The
whatever
whole- the
system
whole
it is.
country?
The economic system, the employment system, the school system, they're saying it's all built to suppress them. But that's not true. It's built to actually lift them up without merit. And they're not seeing that part. They're not seeing that because the whole world is coddling them right now. That's systematic racism. The whole world is now creating a system to lift these people up that don't deserve it. Because they don't work. A lot of them don't work. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like they do, because I've known a lot that haven't. And I've been guilty of that myself. Like I was telling a couple of the guys in here the other night, the last job I had, I got it because I'm a black female. My boss was very open about that. But she was a black female too, you know.
Oh.
And you guys are actually the same age, so
She's like, don't tell anyone, sister.
basically, and that's pretty
We
much
gotta
what
stick
she.
together.
Yeah, no, it was like that. It was one of those. It was a
Mexicans
closed
do
door
that too. Did you know
conversation.
that?
Yeah, it happens.
If a Mexican is in charge of hiring, and a black person went, or a white person went, and a Mexican went, they'll hire a Mexican. I have Mexican friends who are doing that. I'm like, what the? But-
Yeah, and just one last thing. I was explaining to one of my siblings the other day that I think sometimes when they look at it as a racial thing, I don't see it that way. I see it as, I know ultimately it is good and evil, but the truth is it's economic. And I was talking to somebody yesterday.
What does that mean? It's economics.
Well, just a really simple example that I gave somebody yesterday was, you're saying that there's a system built to keep black people down specifically, because he wanted to use the George Floyd thing as an example. And I said, well, no, that's not true, because how much violent crime do you hear about in Baldwin Hills, which is a black community, and it just happens to be a lot of black people that are considered rich. It doesn't happen there. So I told him, I think more or less it's more of an economic thing, because if it were just black, you would hear about people in Baldwin Hills getting beat, but you don't hear about that because people of a certain economic class sometimes, I'm not going to say all of them, but they don't concern themselves with these kinds of issues because it's inconsequential to the success of their future. You know, like they don't worry about systematic racism because it doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that was really the point that I was trying to make. There is no systematic racism, and you can point out something that simple to combat what a person says to you, black or white. You know, I've been in Baldwin Hills. There's no violence and crime up there. It's more likely to happen down in Inglewood or South Central, which doesn't really exist, but that's another conversation. Yeah. So.
The young lady in the white shirt right here.
Behind
No, is that Boo?
Oh, that's Boo.
Hey, Boo. Everybody know Boo?
Oh my God.
She made Joel jump out of an airplane. When a man loves a woman. Is it economic or something else?
I don't think it's economic. I think it's just I mean, I've heard the whole systematic racism thing, how the system is meant to go against the black person, and how they have more barriers to entry, like they need to work harder to, you know, get into these schools, to, you know, have the opportunities that white people have.
Do you believe any of that?
In the sense, when it was described to me, it was more like, okay, you know, poverty. A lot of them come from poverty, and they come from single parent households. They, you know, so they have to, in like the schools that they study in are not very good. Like, you know, when they're growing up.
You believe that?
I believe that, yes, but then it's not the fault of the government, or maybe it is, but it starts in the home. Like it's like a lot of these women are having children out of wedlock and not having the fathers in the home, and so therefore that transforms into, you know, they're living in poverty. The parents can't really guide the kids at home because they're out working, you know. So it's like it starts in the home, just like you say, and so it's not it's a moral issue more than anything.
And so, do you tell them that when you get in conversations that that's not true? It's about the family.
So I've tried, yes, but it just seems like they have their mind made up. And so
Yeah.
sometimes it just
The
seems like,
brainwashing is rough.
yeah, it's like ingrained. It's hardcore. And
It
so,
sure is. It's there. You can't even convince them that they're wrong. You can't say no. And if you notice, they're not dealing with the family issue at all. All they're trying to do is take from the white man,
yeah.
but they're not talking about the family at all.
But then now, like, the white man is catering to them. Like, it seems like all of these companies are just like, all these commercials, they just want to make it seem like they're for them.
Yeah.
And I mean, essentially,
Yeah.
they're just being weak and pathetic.
I know, it's awful. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Did you have a question with the hat on? Did I see your hand?
Earlier, when you mentioned the systematic racism thing, it made me think of this one time. It's like, I'm in
Don't
the
you just
music.
love it when men wear hats in buildings? It kind of reminds me of the women that wear hats to church. I'm just saying what it reminds me of.
You remind me of a girl. No.
Normally men would take their hats off,
No, but
especially if they observate.
like I work in the music business for a long time, and
So what?
it's like it's been monopolized by black people. There's a lot of blacks in great
Music business?
musicians and
Yeah.
stuff. And there was a time a long time ago I used to play keys for this big artist, and I went on like tours and stuff. And eventually I got a call from the musical director, and he's like, "Man, you've been great, everything's great, but we want to go with a black musician because it'll look cooler." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And at the time, because I was asleep, I didn't think of anything about it. But
Yeah.
if it was like a white person that did that to a black person, it would be crazy. But the systematic racism, yeah, Black Victoria summed it up pretty well. That it's the family issues for sure,
It is.
character.
Yeah, it's about the family.
Yeah.
We want to talk about that. Let me take here, and there, and then over there, and then everywhere. If you have real questions, I'm open for that too, right? Yes, sir.
I don't think there is systematic racism. I don't think there is racism. I think it's all just ultimately bigotry. It's not racism. It's just treating people differently than you wish to be treated. That's all it is, ultimately.
Yeah.
And it's selfish. It's just they're being selfish. When you talk about a neighborhood of more wealthy black people who they don't have any crime, that's what everyone should expect. Everyone should expect not to have crime.
Right.
No one should expect that when they get pulled over by a policeman that they're going to be pulled out of their car and beaten. That's ridiculous to expect.
You so hoppo to beat me.
I mean, I've actually had that happen to me.
You been beat by a cop?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I got pulled. So I got pulled over. I got pulled over by a Mexican cop.
Are you Mexican?
No,
What are you?
I'm half black, half white, half everything, pretty much.
Wow,
A
what a
little bit of
messed up
native,
life.
a little bit of
No wonder you need Jesus.
all that stuff. So it's mixed up. And I have to tell you, the most racism I've experienced is black people telling me I'm white. And I'm like, I wasn't raised by a white person. I was raised by people who were black and white. It wasn't like, it's like.
So why did the cop beat you?
So I'm also diabetic, and I was having a low blood sugar. And so when he pulled me over, I started freaking out. And then they started laughing at me because I was freaking out. And so I got really upset, and I kicked the door open, and I came out there and tried to get them to stop laughing at me, and then they beat me down. So
They should have beat you.
I did not get a ticket. They
didn't
gave
get
me
a
a
ticket,
candy
you got a
bar and sent me
beating.
on my way. I got nothing. I didn't get in trouble.
That's amazing. Good, man.
But I'm telling you that
Did you
this
tell
whole,
them you were white?
I don't know what they thought I was.
You should have said, I'm white.
Yeah,
Don't
but
beat
then
me.
you get in trouble because you're white. They expect you to pay money for
yeah.
it. Every race I walk up to tries to peg me as something, and they all wrong. So
So do you date black girls or white girls?
that's my wife.
That's your wife?
Yeah,
Is she black or white?
she's as white as it gets.
This is your first time here? Yeah. Are you afraid of the blacks?
Oh, I can't say I am. I'm married to a black family.
Well, he's white. He's like Obama. You know you got a white man. And so if they try to make you kneel down and say all that crap, would you do it?
You know, it's kind of funny. People see me with my in-laws, you know what I mean? I kind of like get a pass, you know, I can't be racist.
Right. Amazing. So do you have a Black Lives Matter sign?
No.
No? All right, good. Any questions for me?
Oh, not really, but yeah,
How's
really
your-
happy to be here. Conley's been a fan for a long time. You know?
Right on.
Yeah.
Have you overcome your anger?
I'm working on it. I did forgive my parents, like the day after our wedding, you know, he was kind of on my case, like, really have to do this, you really have to do this. And so finally, day after my wedding, when my parents were in town, you know, I sort of pulled each of them aside individually and forgave them, and it was really, really freeing. But I feel like I still have a lot of bitterness, and I'm trying to overcome it. It's hard. And
What are you bitter about?
I still, you know, I've been working on a lot of my issues, you know, like I was kind of neglected. So I sort of have a lot of issues relating to people, you know, I get frustrated, you know, try to blame my parents, you know, because they didn't take care of me. I can't relate to people properly, you know, like.
Right.
So I feel like I've been trying to kind of let that go and just kind of take responsibility for it, you know, but now and then I fall into these bad habits. I feel like just because I was so resentful for such a long time, you know, just kind of like getting over that, you know, knee-jerk reaction of just being angry. And now I realize, you know, I've been doing the silent prayer. Like a lot of these like negative impulses, you know, I can't ignore them if I choose to. I don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But I'm just sort of retraining myself.
Here's what I recommend. When you're talking with people or dealing with people, doubt every thought that comes while you're dealing with the people, then you wouldn't feel that way. What it is, you're believing the lies in your head. And you think it, you feel it, and you act it out. But if you could just learn to doubt those thoughts, everything would change. Because that's all it is now. You've been so in your head for so long. You're so familiar with those thoughts. They are not you. They are not from God. So just kind of watch them. And let's say you're talking to someone and you're getting frustrated. Just let yourself feel it. But still say what you have to say. They don't know you're tripping. It'll be between God and good and evil, and God will work it out for you. But you got to allow yourself to go through it. Don't run from it. Don't go get high. You still smoke pot?
No.
You stopped?
I never really started.
No, I'm messing with you. But allow yourself to go through it and start doubting every thought. And then the quiet voice will guide you. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. Because it's not real. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. You just have to doubt it. And then you have faith in God. But every thought is a lie. Have you realized yet that every thought is a lie? You heard me say that?
Yeah, I'm getting to that point. You know, I used to think, yeah, now when I've been doing the silent prayer, I feel like, you know, as I'm doing it, I'm like, I'll try to think like, where is this coming from? Like, oh, this is totally unproductive. You know, this isn't from me. This isn't helpful. You know, it's been easier to kind of ignore those thoughts now that I can kind of recognize them for what they are.
Yeah.
I'm getting to that point.
Well, don't have a conversation with them either. Just notice this is you. And these are the thoughts coming and going about all stupid kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're not from God, they're not from you. It's the voice of Satan. It's not your voice. You sound like you, but it's not. And just watch him, and if you freak out, just, oh, that's stupid, I shouldn't have freaked. But it's all lies, and your life will just change, believe, all right?
Yeah,
so
thanks.
don't fight it, just observe it.
Right, thanks.
Because it's spiritual. And it'll get better and better and better. All right? That makes sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Every thought is a lie. Yes, sir.
Hi. I want to comment on the systemic racism thing.
Right. What is it?
I think at heart, these people are just angry at God. It's a spiritual issue.
Yeah.
Because everyone forgets it now because it's about systemic racism. But, 5 years ago, it's systemic sexism. Because women weren't making it into the army.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this, and it's like, well, you can't do as many push-ups. You can't run as far. Of course you're not getting in the army. And
systemic racism.
It's like when anyone says systemic anything, it's like they're just saying life is unfair. How come I'm not as strong as him? How come I'm not as rich as him?
Yeah.
How come I'm not as, tall as that guy? And, so I don't think it's economic, in all the cases. And it's so hard to convince them because they've already decided in their hearts that they want to rebel against God or they don't think he's real.
Absolutely, man. if it is economics, what are we supposed to do about that? Give everybody money? What are you supposed to do about that?
Yeah, because, people have tried just giving money, to people who are angry about it. And, it's like you said, the cities would turn to wastelands in a year if you just gave them the cities. But, if people, convert to God, then I think he can turn everyone's lives around.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Did you have your hand? Oh, okay. Oh, right here, right? Yeah. And then in the back.
Yeah, just on the systematic racism, they just come up with random words to make it sound like they know something. But then you ask them, please give me an example, and they don't know what to say. They don't have a concrete, logical argument. They just repeat whatever they hear without actually thinking, wow, maybe everyone is different and everyone has a different life that they come up in, and maybe it's not fair. Maybe I'm supposed to be here to work and improve myself and actually enjoy something that I make rather than just get something. If you just give people stuff, they don't value anything.
That's right.
And people don't even value their own lives or their own work, and it's just, like I said, you try to talk to people and explain it to them, and some they just don't want to listen at all.
Yeah. I noticed that once you're born again of God, you overcome words. Words that have no meaning. And you can see that these people have all these words, and when you ask them, what does that mean? Or then they try to change the conversation. I'm like, no, what does that mean? And they realized they didn't know. It was just made up words. All these words they make up. It's the craziest thing I ever seen.
Like I tell my family, I'm like, I understand you guys love each other and we could say I love you and all this good stuff, but like me, I'm very young, and for my age, I work a lot. Like yesterday, I just decided I'm not going to work at night. I'm going to get a good rest so I can come here. But for the whole week, from the morning to the night, I was working. And I don't, that's what happens when you own a business. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I get that strength from God. If I could do it.
That's right.
You
have your own business?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I sell clothes online.
You do what?
I sell clothing online.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
I like that. That's like a man with a business.
Thank you.
And he doesn't wear a hat inside the building. Good, man.
I mean, sometimes I wear it because I get, my hair is crazy, but I try not to wear it inside.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. Good, man. Yes, sir. Way back there. But you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I grew up in the Jim Crow South in Alabama.
You did?
So the systemic racism.
You from Alabama?
Yes, sir.
What part?
Troy.
Troy. I know where Troy.
Went to Troy State.
And so did they have Jim Crow when you were
in
there?
65 it ended. So when they're talking about systemic racism, they're talking about when, there was colored only here,
So
colored restaurants, colored drinking fountains, white only. They used the word colored back in that day. So the Jim Crow laws were systematic. But the problem I'm seeing,
were you affected by that?
Well, I was a little boy, and I remember going to a drinking fountain, and it said colored on it. And my mother, who's from Ohio, my father's from the South, she said, T, they call me T for Terry, don't, you can't drink out of that. I said,
But
why not?
You look white.
Yeah, I am, but I went over to the colored because I'm a 5-year-old kid. I don't know.
So you drink out of the black people water fountain?
I tried to. I tried to see if it tastes better.
A white boy drinking out of the black water fountain.
My mom said, you can't do that because that's for colors. I go, well, who's colored around here? I didn't know what that meant.
Right.
But that's what they're, so I've seen true racism. I don't see it in this day and age. And they don't really either. Statistically, things are getting better. Things are getting better in the police departments. There's less brutality. But those statistics don't follow their agenda. So what they do is they go back and they say systemic. But no, that's 65 and on. It hasn't been systemic. If anything, it's just like the young lady said, it's toward the other side. In other words, giving folks more advantage to go to school and everything else.
So did the black water taste good to you?
It tastes better.
It tastes
But my point is this.
I grew up in Alabama as well.
Okay, which part?
I grew up under the Jim Crow laws.
Yes.
But
you've seen real racism.
But I didn't see it though. It wasn't
you still didn't?
racism.
Okay.
And I remember blacks are the only water fountain and all that. But it wasn't like a big deal. It was just water. And so my parents and grandparents and my friends, no one really made a big deal out of it. And we knew that there were decent white people, decent black people, and bad black people, bad whites. And that's how we dealt with it. It wasn't, we didn't even call it racism. It wasn't called anything. It's just black and white things. And we knew that the Democratic Party was doing it because they were the one that established the Jim Crow law thing. And, but it wasn't systematic racism because my folks were still buying land, they were working, we went to school, we had fun, we went to town when we wanted to, and it wasn't any of what the blacks have been told and the whites have been told. It was nothing like that at all. It wasn't even thought of as racism. That only happened once the civil rights movement started and they started naming things.
Oh.
But if they had left us alone and just made sure the laws that govern whites, govern blacks, we wouldn't be having this issue today.
I call it fake outrage.
Yeah,
it's a
it is.
perfect,
It's not
because
even
these
real.
people, they don't even know what they're protesting
And they
about.
always talk about slavery and Jim Crow.
This is what I want to bring
and
up,
they
too.
don't know anything about it.
This is what I want to bring up, too.
So
Because
I'm
they're,
asking, if it's slavery, why did it miss us? Because we came about after slavery, right? And Mark sent me a video that showed blacks doing very well. They owned oil wells and they had nice community, they were family. It wasn't what the blacks and whites have been told. It's not true. It's just simply not true. And it's amazing when you believe a lie. It's hard to overcome the lie. But they believed into something that never existed. It just never happened. And it just all made up. There was a Jim Crow, but he was Democrat. And that didn't affect our lives at all. And so it's just all made up. That's what I'm thinking. These people say these things that are not true, and they're fighting over things that are not true. It's like when you're walking down the road and Satan tells you something in your head. You have to cross across the road, and the cars stop and let you by, and you look up and Satan says, "Oh, they're looking at you," and you can hardly make it across the road because you believe a lie. Now you have fear, you doubt yourself. It's like believing a lie like that, and once you believe it, it's hard not to believe it. And that's what's happening now. It's just not true.
and since they don't have the truth and the statistics to back it up, they use white guilt and they throw slavery out there.
I think white people gone beyond guilt.
I'm
They
telling
gone
you,
to insane.
So it has to be
White people
systematic,
crazy.
or they throw the slavery part in. Come on, let's move on, man. Let's move on.
But it's not going to change until the men start speaking up in all communities. Let me take the young lady there, and then I'll move a little faster. But it's not true, folks, what they're saying. It's just not true. It's like being a man and Satan telling you that you're really a woman. So you need to go to the doctor and cut it off and put on a dress. Because the moment you believe that, now you feel like a woman. It's just a lie. It's just not true. It's so amazing. No one's saying that. It's saying that it's not true. Everybody's saying the same thing almost. Yes, who? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Well, for me, while seeing this and just understanding this Black history and everything that, because they're tying it up with the Black history, right? With what happened before, right? And they're trying to make justice because of what happened before, even though. Let's say that it was racism. Let's say that it was really racism. Nowadays, you can see that it's all about emotions now. It's not even about reality.
Right.
It's about they've been in the fallen state. They're emotional people, and Democrats are using their emotions and weaponizing words and just taking the truth way out of context and just making it way bigger. And so they call attention and they try to make it a political thing too. I've seen it. Like Joe Biden was saying something about if Black peoples are conservatives, kind of like shame. It's not exactly what he said. Like kind of like shame of them because they're like hurting the Black society. And I'm like if they don't see this, like if they don't see that this is all because of a political agenda too.
Yeah.
Like they're just gonna they're going to be the one, they're using them. They're using the black color.
That's why we gotta wake people up, because it's in reality, it's a spiritual battle.
Yeah.
It's a warfare between good and evil. And as I've said, the world is of the Old Testament. Everything that, if you read the Old Testament, everything that happened in the Old Testament is happening now. But I think they've taken it a little further than what the Old Testament has, because I don't think men were wearing dresses back then. And women were wearing pantsuits. And the role, maybe it was, they didn't write about it.
Yeah.
But they're taking this evil, that's what evil does. If you don't get rid of it in your own personal life, it will destroy you.
And the worst thing is that you see people from my country or people in Madrid fighting this battle of racism there, saying Black Lives Matter, and making America look so weak. America is being looked so weak right now, you have no idea.
Amazing.
Everybody is talking about it, everybody's hating. It's like, oh, Americans are this and that. And I'm like, well, look at who is racist now, if that's what you think a racist is.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about Americans and white Americans like they are this or that and insulting them when you don't even know. Like, you just know what the textbook says. You didn't even live it, you know? So it's just emotions.
It's just so amazing right here with the black shirt. It's so amazing to see, okay, let me get you here first. It's so amazing to see this and knowing that it's all lies. People burning and stealing and killing and robbing and hating one another over lies. And even if it was true, let's say it was true, it's still no reason to be hating and blaming other people who had nothing to do with it. And to hate like this it's just evil, really. It's really just a warfare between good and evil. That's why we have to overcome it. Because the only way you're going to get people to see the real truth, they must be born again. Otherwise, they can't see it. They literally cannot see it. They got to be born again. That's how you change their hearts, is when they're born again of God. That's the only thing that's going to change it. And the Bible said a lot of people are going to go by the wayside. Only a few will find that straight and narrow path. That's why I say suffer and die. If you don't want to overcome, it's up to you. God made the way. He sent his son. The way has been made already. All you have to do is look at yourself and overcome it. Admit you're wrong for hating. Stop playing God, and your life will change just like that. It really will. And that's all it's about. It's not about anything else with that. It's a spiritual battle. Even though it's working through the physical body, it looks like it's the person, but it's not the person. It's that thing that made a home in them. Go ahead, sir. Let me just say this. I got a call from a guy out of New York on the radio, a young guy, and he wanted to move from his mother's house, and she doesn't want him to move. And he was like, Jesse, she don't want me to go. She's like, no, don't go. I'm like, does she have a man at home? Yes, she has a man, but she wants me. And I'm like, no, you got to get away from mama, because mama is operating from the wrong spirit. It doesn't make sense, logical sense, that a mother would keep her grown son or daughter at home, and especially her son. For what? I'm like, is she horny for you or something? Why is she holding on to? When I was growing up, my parents said, 18 years old, you're out of here. And so they prepared me for that. And when I turned 18, I was gone. I'm like, where am I going? I don't know. I don't care, but you're leaving here. And that's the way to raise children. You're not supposed to raise kids to depend on you. Why do mothers want them at home with them? What do they want? Anybody live with their mama? Oh, I can't wait. The man with the business. What do your mama want?
What does she want?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But why don't you move?
I'm working on it.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Does she know about it?
Yeah, she knows about it. I told her.
Well, don't let her stop you.
Yeah, I'm not going to let her stop me.
Yeah. Is it hard to move from her?
No, it's not hard. It's just I'm working on it, like, financially. I have to get another job.
Right.
So I could prove that to the person that I'm going to be renting from that I can actually pay.
Yeah.
But
how old are you now?
I'm 28.
28?
I know.
So what is it like to come home every night and that mama?
I also live with my sister lives there too.
Oh my God.
And
that's even worse.
And she's lesbian, so.
Oh, wow.
So she was living there
What a
with.
mess.
She was living there with her wife. And just this past Thursday, she kind of attacked me because I've been speaking truth, and I have 3 sisters. Well, 2 of them are the ones I'm speaking about right now. Is that they've been talking in their little group chat with all their friends, calling me a racist for the things that I
Your
speak.
sister call you that?
Yeah, she called me a racist. It's
Online?
because she's no, in person. This is a lesbian
The
sister.
lesbian?
She's married to a black lesbian, so.
Oh
So
my,
like,
what a mess.
yeah, they're taking it that I'm racist and all this and that, and it's wild.
But you're having fun though, right?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
But when she attacked me on Thursday, I let my anger get the best of me.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so, cause they're calling me the B word and stuff, like as a personal attack.
Right.
No, not a beta. Not a beta.
Yeah, the other word.
The other word,
Yeah.
you know. So.
And so that caused you to get angry?
It causes me to get angry because they're attacking my character because of how they feel.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Yeah.
man, like, you guys are illogical. Like, you guys are emotional. You guys, you're not thinking straight. And you're just attacking me when I have not called them out of their name.
Yeah.
I've just been, just speaking truth.
Right on.
But I also wanted to add an insight that I have is that.
Next time they call you the B word, they say, I may be a B, but you're definitely a lesbian. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
That'll roll off your back. Don't let it bother you at all. Because that's what they want to control you with words.
Yeah, and that brings me to my insight that I had, that I heard you talk about how language is of Satan.
Yeah.
And words, they are tied with emotions. So when
Yes.
someone calls you something
Yeah.
or you think something, that emotion, that's the devil's, like, I guess, the process
Absolutely,
through which
man.
he's controlling you. So it's just that I just wanted to add that insight because it's like a perfect situation right
Yeah,
now.
another thing I realized about that too is when you love God with all your heart, soul, and might, along with nothing else, meaning that you can't even love yourself, you can't love anything but Him, and then treat your neighbor as you would yourself, then nothing would get to you. I realize that the reason a lot of white people are cowering it down to these folks is because they're afraid of losing their stuff. They don't, and white people love first-class stuff, right? That's why I have white friends. And so they love their stuff. And they always try to improve on it. But their stuff is their God. And so they're afraid, because what happens is if you tell the blacks the truth, the first thing they do is call you a racist. Then they go and try to sue you or report you to your company, cause you to lose your job, and then they cut your head off and hang it up so everybody can see to put fear in you. But if you didn't love anything more than God itself, you wouldn't think about your character, you wouldn't think about anything. And just love Him, you would know that He would take care of you. And then the world cannot control you, well, anything. Because I hear a lot of people say, oh, they're messing with your reputation, right? You can't even love your reputation. When you become a son or a daughter of God, you just be. You have no opinion, you just be, and He will guide you. And He allows you to see evil, He allows you to overcome. But you can't even worry about your reputation. You just have to be a son of God and love what's right. And then no one can control you.
That's right.
Because if you're not thinking of your reputation, meaning that you're not thinking about what other people think about you, then you can always stand up. But if you care about your reputation, oh, they're going to think badly of me, or then whomever's trying to control you can get you mad. But if you don't worry about that, just love what's right. Have no opinion, just be. It's fine.
One more thing is that my other sister, you know how I have my business? She went on Instagram and said that, hey, anybody that is following my brother's business venture, he's a racist, so unfollow him, stop supporting him.
Wow.
And like, if this was me like 3 months ago before I was born again,
Yeah.
I would have been like what, you know, freaking out. But
Right.
you know, one of the amazing things that happened in that situation is that 2 people that follow her and know her that didn't know me at all,
Yeah.
they followed me and they're like, hey, I see you're speaking the truth. And I'm like, God is good.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Amazing. And that's what's going to happen. As long as you love God with all your heart, soul, and might, along with nothing else, keep doing your business, but know that He's guiding you. So when people do say things like that, it won't put fear in you, because your relationship is really with God. You're His son, and He'll take care of your business. He'll make a way out of no way. But if you worry about that at all, then you'll lose out. But just love Him, have a good attitude, work your business, be a good business person, and it'll just all work out for you. Someone asked me about bond. I had no idea that it would become what it is today. And I've been called every name in the book and then some. They made up some names I never heard of. They have said things about me that's literally not true. Accusations have been thrown out there. But because He's my father, I'm His son, it doesn't bother me. But when I was in that fallen state, I could never do that. But because I love Him, it doesn't bother me at all. I got awards for being coon and Uncle Tom. It's so amazing. I never thought one day I would get the Lifetime Coon Award. It's so nice. But speak up, but don't hate them. But you got to speak up. Just put the truth on them. But when they call you names, it's not personal. They can't help it. Yeah. It's a way to control you. But don't fall for it. Did you tell your mother that they did that?
Yeah, I did.
And what'd your mother say?
She's on my, I don't want her to pick sides, but she sees the truth. She understands that, you know, they're focusing on the wrong things.
Yeah. Well, good, man. And be happy that you're going through these things, meaning that don't be mad about it, because it's making you stronger, wiser, and everything. But if you get angry, you won't be able to see. You won't grow. It's not personal.
Yeah, as soon as she called me, like, that fight on Thursday evening,
yeah,
like, I was angry, but what I did is I just sat down and I, like, did a silent prayer.
Right on.
And I was like, I'm fine.
Right on, man. Good.
Yep.
But
So,
that's fine.
you.
Just don't hate them.
Yep.
All right? All right. Yes.
Good morning, Jesse.
Hey, sir. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Amazing.
There was
No man is good?
That's right. Amazing.
All is well.
There was this interesting video clip I saw the other day of a cop. They were surrounded by the mob, and one cop refused to kneel, and then one of his coworkers tapped him and tried to get him to kneel as well. And what happened was, by him standing up and not backing down, one of the cops that was on the floor stood back up.
Right on.
And like you said,
Yeah.
you have to reverse the demoralization process.
Yes.
They've shamed whites with all these lies. Just like Black Lives Matter is founded on a lie, Mike Brown was not innocent. Slavery is not white people's fault. They were
Right.
the minority owners of slaves. There's a different group that owned the majority of them, but they don't talk about that group. Same group that backs Black Lives Matter. So they wear little hats and they own this building. And it's not to hate them, but it's to observe that pattern.
I just missed something. What did you say about the little hats?
They were little hats, and one of them owns your building. Yeah, smaller than that. But that same pattern, it's not hateful to acknowledge it, just like you acknowledge that most blacks hate whites. Not all, but a lot of that demographic also hates whites. They are the original perpetual victims. They've made blacks perpetual victims. And if you can reverse that, not give in, they're going to call you all kinds of names, but you got to be able to take it and not move.
Yeah.
And if you don't,
You
then,
must be born again.
yeah, don't run from it. Don't call
Yeah.
you racist, everything in the book, but you have to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir. And then here, and then Mark, and over there, and wow, the hour's gone already. Oh, man. Where am I? Oh, okay. And then the young lady right here.
Good morning. I wanted to just comment you said about white people into their stuff, and that is absolutely true.
Yeah, white people love education and they love their stuff. I used to fly a lot, and then I found out that white people were getting like free upgrades from back of the bus to the front. And so one day I asked, how y'all getting these upgrades? Because you would hear the worker come on the plane, they would say, John Doe, come up front. And so they said, well, what you have to do is you have to sign up mileage plus things, and you be on miles when you travel with a certain airline. And so I started doing that, and I started getting the upgrades. I said, well, it's nice to be white. They work very hard, but they love their stuff. And because of that, they're being controlled.
Right, but that has infected the churches because the pastors and the administrative teams, the pastoral staffs, they love this stuff too. Yeah. And their stuff that they love is the big buildings and all the tithes that they get. So I've started to see, because I moved to this church from a big mega church over where I live in the Covina, San Dimas area. And the pastor, I just saw after watching your show for a few, I just went, wow, my pastor's beta, and then I realized I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back.
Yeah.
I just couldn't go back.
Yes.
But they're into this stuff like we want to build more buildings and we want to, have the capital campaign to get more stuff. But if they started speaking the truth, the people would leave, and then they'd lose their tithes, and then it'd be over. So they've locked themselves in their own, this
You're
trap.
absolutely right. There's nothing like loving God with all your heart, soul, and might. I didn't know that it was possible. But if you examine yourself, forgive, He'll draw you in, and those old habits will drop away. He will cleanse, take all that away from you. And you're like, wow, this is so nice. You get to a point where you just don't care what people think.
Right.
You love what's right, you be right and do right, but if people like it, fine. If they don't, fine. They have a right to be wrong. Let them suffer.
And as another just comment on things that you teach, so as I was, I left the church, but I would still have relationships with a lot of people there. And so I did my own informal poll. I would just, if I was talking to one of my guys, I just say, hey, is it all right for Christians to be angry? And all of them would be, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus was angry.
I know.
And I was like, and I'm just start going, what? And I'm like, so do you think God was angry like we get angry? We starts frothing at the mouth and screaming and hooting and hollering. So you think God does that? And they're like, well, he flipped over the changers' tables and da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, so it just, it was just a big...
Why would you want to believe in Satan is already your God. He mad. And now you're looking for a better way out, and then you hear about this other God, the real God. Why would you go from one angry person to another, angry spirit to another?
Right.
It doesn't even make sense.
But
it's like leaving one husband or wife and going to the next one. They're all the same.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, but it was just interesting. I had to do that informal poll, talk to 10, 15 people and just ask them that informally. And it was like to a man, they're like, yeah, it's okay to be angry. And I was like, whoa. So it was a very eye-opening experience.
Right on, man. So. Cool. What I want to do is, the guy way in the corner, but I need to go to Mark first and Frankie, and then over there. And I think I saw other hands. And then I want to, Jesse, your hand? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes.
I wanted to say systematic racism is the same thing as institutional racism, implicit bias, and white privilege. It's what people say when
implicit bias?
Yes.
What is that?
They're all the same.
I've heard that before. I'm interviewing people like implicit bias. I'm like, I'm black and slow. What does that mean? And they can't tell you.
It means no one has done or said anything racist, but I still want to call you racist. So I can't point to any human being on this, in our discussion that has done or even said anything racist. So I say, white people have X amount more than black people on average. Therefore, the system is racist, and I can still call you a racist.
Amazing.
It's a way to call people racist that have done or said nothing racist. And then
it's too bad the whites are giving into it.
Yeah.
Not all, but most.
And then that video was 50 towns in the 1920s in Oklahoma alone. And one guy, young black guy, like in his early 20s, was making 3,000 barrels of oil a day.
That was an amazing film. Yeah.
They were on top of the world in the 20s in Oklahoma here. It's fake news.
Yes, Frankie. Oh, okay. Over here, and then James got online stuff, and then, amazing. I'm glad to see everybody. Jesse, you here? Oh, okay. All right.
Hi, Jesse. Yeah, so I just wanted to comment that's in fashion right now to go online and shame your family. It's a thing. It's
shame your family?
Yeah, call them racist, call them out, like shame them publicly. That's very in fashion right now.
Well, family members don't like each other anyway.
Yeah, or whoever. It's like you gotta rat them out. You gotta take out. And then my question to you is that this is my second time being here.
Oh, right on.
Like I'll just ask. Like I've noticed that there's not a lot of black people here. Like, do you ever get bothered that is it? Because I know that you're trying to wake up black people, but it seems like it's more like lights like Hispanics and whites.
I'm trying to point the person who's looking for the right way.
Okay.
And I literally don't care how many blacks or whites or Hispanics or any that come, because those that don't want it, they have to suffer. And so it doesn't bother me at all. Not when I hear, it doesn't matter what color, male or female, when they talk about waking up and they now sons and daughters of God, it's amazing to me. And so I don't really think about that at all. Not when plus I'm an Uncle Tom. I don't expect many to come. Uncle Tom's no better.
But doesn't it make you feel sad though that this message that is supposed to be going out to black people, that they're not really getting it? Like
no, not really.
Not really?
I don't feel sad at all.
No? All right.
Maybe I should, but because it's for anyone who wants it.
Okay. So you don't care about color.
It's the spirit of the person, not the color of the person.
Yeah.
And I can see that clearly. So the ones who are listening, those who are coming, those who call in, those are the ones that are seeking the truth. And once they wake up, I see my brother, I see my sister. So I'm not moved. There are a lot of family members. I have a big family. Matter of fact, I had 5 brothers and 7 sisters, I think. But 3 of my brothers expired. So I got a call from one of my other brothers that's still living, and he said, "Oh, call me." So I called him up, and he said, "I don't agree with anything else, nothing else you say, but I agree about what's happening now with you. When you said these people are insane, it doesn't make sense, this is evil." He agreed with that. So I have family members that don't agree with me. When I go to family dinners, it's amazing. Yeah. It's like going to a riot. They don't like me, but I'm like, that's why I asked you, did you enjoy it? When I say one word, they're having a hissy fit. And so I just sit back like I'm looking at a movie. And I'm like, yeah, this is nice. Because I don't feel anything about it, and they all just jump on me, right? But I understand they cannot see. I was at that position at one time in life, so it's not personal. So as far as the blacks, I mean, it's good when they wake up. If they don't, I can't do anything about it. It's systematic racism.
Okay.
So you're not going to be able to help your own family members. Right. Remember, Christ had to leave home because his family, the neighborhood and community didn't like him.
Because I'm trying to save Hispanics too, like trying to wake them up, because they're trying to emulate black people now, like with the victimization.
Yeah.
And we don't come with our culture. It's not like that at all. So that's what that's what my question was to you.
You're not going to be any good to them if you feel for them.
Right.
You cannot feel for anyone. You just wish them well, don't hate them, be honest with them, but you cannot feel, you're going to overcome all that emotional crap anyway. But if you're feeling something about it, you're not going to be totally honest with them with love.
Okay.
And that's the only thing that's going to work.
Okay.
All right? Yes, sir.
Right here?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've noticed 2 ways people talk about racism. Either they say that it doesn't exist, or they say it exists and it's bad.
Yeah.
But I think it exists, and I think I'm fine with it. I'm
This your
Vietnamese.
first time here?
Second time here.
Okay. And you believe racism exists?
I think it exists, and I think it's good. I'm Vietnamese, and I want my kid to look like me. And
you say you what now?
I'm Vietnamese, and I want my kid to look like me.
But that's not racism.
Isn't racism when you treat someone differently based on their race?
I'm sorry? So you're Vietnamese and you want your kids to be that too, right? To look like you. Is that right?
Yes.
And you call that racism?
Other people call it racism.
But do you believe that's racism?
I think it's racism because if I see 2 girls, I'm gonna prefer the Vietnamese girl more. So I'm gonna treat one person better.
How's that racism?
Based on race.
How's that racism? I mean, you were born in that family. Your parents are that way. You're going to emulate your parents unless you hate them and try to get away from them.
Maybe it's not racism. I thought racism was just when you treated someone differently based on the race. That's not the definition.
No. It doesn't exist. It's a made-up word. Because it's good versus evil, evil people treat everybody the same. They're evil. They have no love. People who've been born again are going to treat you with love. It's a battle between good and evil. It has nothing to do with the physical. Racism is a made-up word in order to control the people, to divide and conquer. It doesn't exist. And we all discriminate against each other.
Yeah,
and
that's
you
true.
better discriminate, because you have to discriminate against evil. Once you overcome that, you don't want to be a part of that anymore. You know what I mean?
I still think racism is real, but I
Well,
just think
where
about
is
it
it?
as a different way. Just when I prefer some races over others,
Like
or
what?
I
Like
guess
who?
it's not a race. If I say Vietnamese, that's not even a race, is it? It's just a group of people.
I call them
Vietnamese race?
I call them racist. Asians are racist as hell.
He must be a
Okay,
millennial.
have you guys been to Hawaii? Hawaii is like majority Asian, and there's a people called Micronesians. They're on the bottom of that hierarchy, and they get treated like the blacks here. And it's not racism; it's just a hierarchy.
But what it is evil. Evil people
evil.
got to build themselves up so they can feel good about being evil. So you got to make yourself feel that you're better than the next person. But it's not racism, it's evil. If they had perfect love, they would not treat each other that way.
Yes, it's a fake word.
Yeah, it's a fake word.
And one of the best examples I can think of was Freddie Gray. You guys remember Freddie Gray? Baltimore. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
killed by black police in a black district with a black mayor. And
But
they came up
yeah.
with the word to explain it because racism no longer applied. He was killed by other blacks.
So what now?
He died in the back of a police van.
Oh yeah, I
He
remember
snapped
that.
his neck. Baltimore.
The drug addict guy, right?
Freddie.
Wasn't he a
no,
drug
Freddie
addict?
Gray.
A drug dealer. No, it's not about race.
Yeah, so it's a made-up word.
Look at the family members turning on each other. Is that racism? They hate this young man because he's of truth now. He's of God. He's a son of God. So the children of Satan hate him. And they're going online and lying on him. That's not racism. It's evil. I'm telling you, it's evil. Once you're born again, you're going to see it's evil. It has nothing to do with racism. And you're not wrong for wanting a Vietnamese.
Say it again.
Do you just prefer them physically, or is it
No, it's all right though. It's not, and nothing wrong with that.
there's nothing wrong?
Okay, so he calls me a race hater because I don't date other Vietnamese women. So
You hate your own race. He's trying to get away from his race because he hated his mother. He used to. And then he ended up marrying mama.
Ooh, ouch.
The same spirit is everywhere. But it doesn't exist, man. It's a made-up word. And you're not wrong for wanting to marry into your race. All right?
I get it.
Give it to the young lady right in front of you. Yeah. And then here. Did I see your hand? Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna move away from that topic, but I've been going through. So when I go to work, a lot of the females there have this whole mentality of Black Lives Matter, and I personally don't think that that's like a professional, or we should be talking about that at work, because I'm in the healthcare industry, and so it's like when
you're
I'm
right.
at work, I don't want to hear about that. And all they do is just show videos and just talk about it, and it's very distracting. And I don't comment about it. And the times that I have said something, and just to give them examples of like both sides, or the other side, you know, they have their mind made up, and so it just seems like there's no point.
That's right.
And so I don't think it's wise for me to even like push it.
Especially at work, because you're there to make money. You made a promise to the boss. You work 8 hours for however many dollars. You're not there for politics.
Yeah, so I definitely feel like, but then when I'm at home, sometimes I feel guilty in the sense that, you know, am I doing enough as far as like speaking up, or because right now I feel like I'm just trying to keep my eyes on myself, because I understand that, like, you know, when you can't see, it's hard to. When you can't see, it's, you know, you're blind. So I've been in those situations, and so who am I to go and try to change someone else's mind? So I don't know. I kind of feel guilty in between just like not maybe speaking out enough, or I mean, what do you think?
Do you mean speaking out at work or outside of work?
Both.
If someone asks you at work, what do you think? You can warn them first. You're not going to want to hear this. And then if they ask you, you can be honest with them, but I wouldn't go to work preaching about it and all into it. And you're not wrong for not doing that. That's not why you're there. But if you're out and about and if you want to talk about it, you should be able to. You should do it because they need to hear the truth. Because somebody may hear it and reject it at first, but down the road they may think about what you said. And like, oh, that makes sense. And so you should speak up.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to. Like I
You don't want to speak up at all, even
like
outside of work?
Like sometimes because it just sounds so ridiculous that it like I know I'm gonna waste my time. And so it's like maybe it's just Satan talking to me in my head.
Yeah, if it's coming out of your head, then don't believe it. You speak up. But if it's not, if you tell somebody something and they don't want to hear it, I have a cousin that we used to bring on the show a lot, and he is just the craziest they come. He believes everything that's wrong, and he's a Christian.
Yeah.
So I don't even argue with him anymore. As soon as he called me up, we were talking, and I'm like, all right, fine, nice. And I wouldn't argue with him, but it's nice to put it out there and let them decide if they want to receive it or not.
Okay.
And so if Satan tells you not to do it, don't pay attention to that.
Okay.
All right? Okay. But we got to start speaking up. We have to. Right here, this young lady, and then here, and James. Amazing. Tell James to come on. Yes.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
No woman is good. All is well.
All is well. God is good.
Yeah, that's right.
So, trying to organize my thoughts. I wanted to say that systemic racism is an invisible boogeyman. It's a way of creating a problem that can't be solved because there's no one person that's in control of it or can change it. It's a way of creating blind rage in people so that they take it out.
It's made up though, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
okay.
it's made up, and
Okay.
it creates blind rage that makes people take out on innocent people.
Yeah.
But for sure, but you know, the idea of systemic racism is that there's, you know, forces that are trying to keep you down. And there are forces in the world that are trying to keep, you know, to me, the
Evil
wherever
forces.
it's evil, whatever's coming up with the, and I
Yeah.
think everybody in this room, well, maybe everybody, maybe, you know. My whole point is don't, you know, judge the collective. It's in the individual.
That's right.
But I think most
Absolutely.
people have expressed that they understand that the idea of systemic racism is coming from evil forces, and that's what's keeping people down. But even that evil force, you know, I've struggled all week with me being angry and hateful toward an invisible enemy, because if you look at that and say, well, I want to blame the liberals, or I want to blame the I'm normally not here because I work at a church, and I work at a church that just stands for every evil thing.
Oh, amazing.
And I want to blame them, you know. I want to blame stupid people, you know. And I spend all week being angry because I think I'm so smart and everybody else is so stupid.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
my ego.
Sure is. Is this your first time here?
No, I've been here a couple times throughout the year, but I just can't
Oh,
be
okay.
here that often.
You haven't overcome your anger yet?
No, I guess I haven't totally overcome it yet.
And why not?
I enjoy suffering.
You do? Suffer and die. And why don't you forgive so you can get past? God can take that away from you, that spirit.
Oh, I didn't want to talk about me.
You shouldn't have mentioned you were angry.
Oh, no.
Why don't you forgive so you can just be free of that and have perfect love?
So almost every time I've been here, we have the same conversation, and
Oh,
I don't
we
want to
do?
bore people with it. Yeah, because I can't figure out what to forgive. I can pinpoint, if I think really hard, I can pinpoint things that I could say, oh, my parents did this wrong or did that wrong, you know.
So you haven't gone.
But I can't. What I can't drum up in myself is feeling like I have resentment toward them. I don't feel like I do.
Where do you think anger come from?
I think my anger comes from my ego, believing
Well,
my thoughts.
where'd your ego come from?
Because my ego says, "How dare you do this to me?"
But
That's,
your ego
you know,
is your mother's ego that's made a home in you.
okay.
It's not
Yeah, I can-
yours.
Yeah.
It's yours if you don't forgive. Once you become an adult, you have to go and forgive so God can forgive you. Because you're born of your mother, you can't help but have that resentment. And then once you're born of the flesh, then you're born of the spirit. You return to the Father. That's why God said there will come a day when I return the children to the fathers and the fathers to the children, because the men represent, they're sons of God. Even a beta male is still a beta male, but he's a son of God. He's just in a fallen state. And so you must be born again of the Spirit of God, because you don't have your own identity yet. You don't remember what you were like before you resented your mother. You're not yourself.
I've seen I have seen, you know, I haven't been consistent with the silent prayer, and I think that's my problem.
Well, suffer then.
I know, but I've done it enough
Amazing.
But I've done it enough to see the light. I've done it enough to see that it's the answer to everything. I've done it enough to see, to have those moments where I know what
why
I
don't you
truly
go
am,
and forgive them?
where I know that I'm not God.
Why don't you go and forgive? That way you won't plead God anymore by getting angry. Let me just ask.
I don't know what to forgive them for. I don't feel resentful
Okay,
toward
so
my
you might
mother.
not. I don't want to force it on you.
Okay.
So your mother was perfect when raising you?
No. No,
Did she make any mistakes?
Yes.
Like what, for an example? Something you wish
just
you didn't
dumb
do
things.
or say?
Just teaching me a bad. She represented a bad philosophy.
What do you mean?
Of, it's a kind of a secular humanism where, oh, you just care about other people and be a good person, and it just turns around on itself until it becomes evil. It's not God's way.
Have you gone to her and forgiven her for that?
No. I mean, I've talked to her about the philosophical issues. I've talked to her about how I
Have you gone to her
believe
and
now.
forgiven her for that?
No, I haven't said to her, I forgive you for...
Why not?
I didn't want to talk about me. I just wanted to make a point about collective guilt, and that it's all about the individual overcoming and.
But how will you overcome unless God forgive you? You can't overcome without Him forgiving you, and He's not going to forgive you until you forgive your parents. Have you gone to your father and forgiven him?
No, I haven't said to either of my parents,
Did
I
he make
forgive
any
you.
mistakes with you?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like what, for example?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Go and forgive your mother just for that one thing. Other things will come, and God will forgive you. Because
Okay.
that's holding you back. It really is.
Okay.
But don't do it until you can see it for yourself. Not because I said it. Just
Right, and that's what's been holding me back all this time. That I
Yeah.
can't just go and do it because you said it.
Right.
I have to see, and I just haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen where I have
well, just
resentment.
continue to suffer.
against
Go to
them.
work. Be mad all week.
Well, I
Just
don't think I'm the only person that
So what now?
is struggling with anger in the face of everything that's
You said what now?
happening. No, it's a stupid thing to say. Never mind. That was a stupid thing to say.
Are you dating?
I'm married.
You're married.
Yes.
And so do you abuse your husband?
Do I abuse him? I have. Yeah, I've been an evil woman, and I'm trying to overcome.
Well, you're not going to be able to until you love your father, return to your father, by forgiving your mother. You must be born of God. Otherwise, your husband and your children will catch hell from you because you don't have love. Isn't that amazing? You have kids?
No.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
But think about it. Do the silent prayer and And I'm telling you, once he forgive you, he will take the spirit of anger away from you, and you will never have to deal with it again. You will only operate with love. And it's not a feeling, you can't taste it, you can't touch it, but it's a guiding light unto your feet. And you can see where these people are coming from, and they can't help it, and you would be honest with them, but you would not hold it against them at all.
Yeah.
You would never know anger again.
Yeah. I've had periods of time where I felt that's how I was living, you know. But if you don't do the silent prayer every morning and every night, if a little bit of anger gets in you, that spirit just wants more anger.
Well,
you know?
you could do
and
the
so it won't
silent-
let you do the silent prayer because it just wants more.
But you could do the silent prayer until the cows come home.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't go and forgive, remember God said, if you have anything against anyone, go and forgive them, and I will forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't forgive, he can't forgive you. And so you can't be free of that. Just doing the prayer but not taking the action is not going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think if you saw what you resented your mother for, you went to her and said, hey, I'm sorry for resenting you, I forgive you for what you did. What do you think she would say?
I don't know. I can't imagine it.
You can't imagine it?
No.
Okay. Well, just stay there, hold on to it until you're tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Mm-hmm. But don't have any babies until you get past that.
It's okay. It's too late for that anyway.
It's too late for that?
Yeah.
You pregnant now?
No, I'm too old.
Oh, you're too old to have babies?
Yeah.
Sarah was 99.
I know.
Abraham was 100. It's not too late.
Okay.
All right. But anyway, anything else you wanted to say about what you were talking about before I asked you about the anger?
Yeah. Well, to make a discernment about a group of people, not even the people that wear the hats. You can't make a discernment about a group. Discernment can only be with what's in front of you. That's like to me, judging, thinking that you're making a discernment about a group is like thinking that you see the truth when you're in the past or in the future. The group is not real,
So when you see these group of people burning down buildings and stealing, don't you make a discernment about all of them at the same time?
You can make a discernment about whatever's in front of you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I believe you can make a discernment about whatever's in front of you.
But when you're born again of God, it's like you living on top of a mountain and you're looking over, you can see what's going on and you can discern the whole world. Mm-hmm. You can see that it's evil. Mm-hmm. And everyone who have not been born again of God is of evil.
Yeah. But it's our business is as individuals. I don't think our business is to try to fix what's wrong with the world by seeing which groups are wrong. I think our business is just to overcome.
Slow. I may be missing it.
Yeah.
Do you understand what she's saying?
Somewhat.
What is she saying?
Well, we can only control ourselves, and to the extent that we might make a judgment on other groups of people, that might be something that in fact God has revealed to us, and I have that own experience myself of the truth continuing to be revealed to me the closer to the Lord I get. But I'm not sure I can change a group of people, and that I should necessarily get hung up on changing a group of people. I know how hard it is to change this right here, and maybe somebody who's really close to me. And it's not that I don't speak the truth. The Bible tells us to do that with limits, depending on whether the person's a believer or not a believer. But making up our mind that we're going to go change a group of people, making up our mind that we're going to get rid of racism across the whole United States of America, I don't feel called to do that by the Lord. I do feel called to speak the truth. And the Bible tells us when to do that.
So your heart has not changed from evil to good?
It's impossible.
It's impossible?
Yeah, Paul couldn't do it. I can't do it, man.
Have you been born again of God?
Yes, sir.
And so, but you still have the same heart you had of Satan?
We all have a heart of Satan, sir.
Not me. When you're born again, you're born of God. You have His nature, His identity. That's why you must be born again, because you can't be of love and hate. You only only of one or the other. You
This,
can't be
this
about.
is, this is hate. This right here. Yes, my heart belongs to the Lord, no question about
What's
it.
hate?
But my flesh, everything I think and do, unless, which I didn't do before I spoke to you, I'm probably speaking evil right now. I'm only capable of that unless I ask God to give me the strength and the wisdom to
How
do
is
every
your
single
flesh
thing.
evil? Hold on, guys. How is your flesh evil?
How is my flesh evil?
Yes.
Where do I start? I mean, everything I do is selfish unless I'm turning it over to the Lord, which I only do momentarily. You know, at any given moment, I sometimes find the will and the goodness to do that and listen to his voice for what he's going to tell me to do at any given moment. But if I'm not doing that, I'm only capable of a thought from the enemy.
So you're still influenced by Satan?
No question. Every person in this room is, sir.
Even those who've been born again?
Yeah.
How is that possible? You can't serve two.
I'm not serving Satan. Absolutely
But how is it
not.
possible to be influenced by God and influenced by Satan?
How is it possible? Like I said, every single thing I do, everything I'm saying right now is influenced by both.
I know, but I know you're saying that, but I'm trying to figure out how is that possible? Even the Bible says you can't do that. Why do you think that's possible? That you can serve God and serve Satan?
I'm not talking about serving, sir.
But if you're influenced, you are serving.
I don't agree. I don't think the scripture says that.
But when you're influenced by Satan, what do you do?
Well, right now, for example, I'm saying things that are of my own mind quite often.
But
right?
your mind is not your own. It's Satan's mind. That's why you must be born again of God's mind. So he'll influence you.
There's no question that God influences me. I'm just saying that Satan does also. And unless I turn over...
So you believe you can serve two gods?
No.
But you serve Satan and God, you say?
I have not said one time that I serve Satan.
But you said sometime you're of God and sometime you're of Satan, right?
I'm influenced by him. There's no question about it.
Amazing. I wish I had more time. When you come back next Sunday, we'll deal with this right away. This is so good.
Well,
I know what you're talking about. I've been there too.
I learned this from Paul. I mean, it's not like this is my own idea. He's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Paul, what did Paul say? I tried to fix myself. I couldn't. I realized it's not me, but
yeah, he constantly talking about the influence of the enemy on him and everything that he does.
Did he say you must be born again of God?
Yeah.
And so did he realize that he was trying to overcome that fallen state, that spirit that he had, but he couldn't? He was fighting against it.
Right.
But he couldn't do anything about it?
I don't know. Did he say he could do nothing about it on his own will? Yes, I think he did say
said
on
he
his
couldn't do
own
anything about it, right?
strength. I think
so. He
said,
stopped
yes.
fighting because he realized of himself he could do nothing about that.
On his own strength.
And
yes.
so he let God handle it, right?
Yes.
And so that's what has to happen. You got to stop fighting with that and let God handle it by being born again of Him.
I'm not sure what you mean by fighting, but I certainly realize the importance of letting God do the work, and I try to do that all the time. But when I don't do that, which is all the time, that means the enemy is in charge.
How do you try to do it?
Well, prayer and try to use something biblical, something scriptural, which, like I said, most of what I've just said in the last 5 minutes is not necessarily of God, because I didn't pray about it.
A quick example, because of time.
Yeah.
So let's say you're dealing with something, right? And you try to fix it, but you can't. Is that right?
Okay, it happens all the time, yeah.
And then, so in that point, you start doing what? When you realize you can't fix it, what do you do?
In a good moment, I go to the Lord even before I start trying to fix it. But if I'm confused by something or frustrated by something, that's a better time even to go to the Lord.
And you go to Him and say what?
I said, God, I can't do this. I've been trying to do this for the last, hour trying to fix this thing, and I realized I did not call on you. Now, Lord, I'm calling on you.
And what does He say?
It depends on the situation. Sometimes He gives me the wisdom to solve a problem in His way.
I totally understand you, man. It's so wrong, but I understand you. And we'll talk about it some more or something later.
What scripture can I look at that says that's wrong? I'd like to.
The one that says that you must be born again?
No.
And,
what I just said of the example about trying to fix a problem.
So what now?
The example I just gave about trying to fix a problem, what's wrong about that biblically? I just would like to look it up.
Oh, it's nothing wrong with seeing that you can't fix it, but there's something wrong with you thinking that that's the way it is. You serve two gods. You can only serve one, and so thinking that you can serve two is of Satan. He got you thinking that, and he used the Bible to make you, to convince you of that. That's why you must be born again. You must forgive. You must enter into the kingdom of heaven, and then he will take over.
Philippians chapter 1 will help you.
He already know the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Are you asking me for a scripture? That ain't gonna help. You already know the Bible, right?
Read it a couple times.
I'm sorry?
I've read it a couple times.
I'll rest my case. So with me quoting the Bible is not gonna help you. Get to know yourself, you'll see it. Pay attention to yourself, you'll see it. Do you know yourself?
Pretty well. You familiar with a ministry called Celebrate Recovery?
What?
You familiar with a ministry called Celebrate Recovery?
No.
Okay.
What is it called?
Celebrate Recovery. 12-step Christian program. Never heard of it?
Well, I know about 12 step, but
Okay. It's a lot of the stuff that you're talking about how to fix yourself. I've been a leader in that, have been for several years. I'm pretty
do
familiar.
they tell you, are you a member of that?
It's not a member thing, but yeah, I'm a leader. I've been involved in it for a number
You
of
a
years.
12-step person?
Yeah.
Amazing. And do you tell these people to go and forgive so God can forgive them and set them free? They won't need the alcohol and stuff?
Sure.
And do they go and forgive?
Some people do. Some
Have you
people
done
don't.
that?
Have I gone and forgive? I've had all these conversations with my parents about 10,
Have you
20,
forgiven
10, 20
them?
years ago. Sure.
You told them you forgive them?
Yeah.
Amazing. Let's pick up on this next Sunday. It's so
Which
good.
part, man?
Just suffer until next Sunday. Serve two gods until next week.
I refuse to serve two gods, but I don't know why that helps your argument. I'm open
Because
to
you
the
say you
conversation.
up
but
here, then you're over here, and I'm saying you can't serve but one.
I am too.
Oh, okay.
Can I inject something? Interject something?
Yeah.
What I hear.
And then Jay, come on, Jay, with the mic. Okay.
What I hear is when he talks about his flesh, it's the same thing as you talking about your mind and your thoughts. I think that's all he's saying, is that he's associating the flesh with the mind.
No, he said his skin, right? Your body.
But I think that's the essence of what he.
Do you mean your body or your mind?
Do I mean my body or my mind regarding what?
I don't know. That's what she said. But it's so good, man. But I'm just so so just suffer.
I'm just paraphrasing Paul. I'm not. This is not.
Right.
This is not my own thoughts.
Right on. Okay, James.
Okay, I have a bunch of super chats, but I'm just going to read a few.
Okay.
The rest of them, Joel will read tomorrow on the Jesse Lee Peterson show.
Okay.
And I also have that open letter, if you want to read it. If you want me
Oh
to read it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta hear this letter. It is mind blowing. Do the super chat and then come and do the letter.
Okay. Will you hold the mic for me then? Up
Yes.
there? Okay. Peter from Periscope gave a diamond on D Live and said, I have a bad habit of making excuses. How do I stop?
Stay out of your head. I'm telling you, once you're born again of God, it's impossible to make an excuse. You can't do it. Because you're living in the light, in the love of God, and you can see, so you can't make excuses because you see. But you got to be born again. You must be born again. And as God said, we're born of the flesh, which is of our mothers, and then the flesh is weak. Then we're born of the spirit, which is of God. Then we're made to be strong because he's guiding us. That's how you overcome the flesh. And then the flesh can no longer control you because now you're of the spirit. You are a spirit. You're of that spirit. So you're not subject to the flesh anymore. Yes.
Alex Calloway gave a super chat and said, I forgave my mother and told her I resented, but still didn't and still haven't mentioned that she tried to turn me against my father. Should I do it again?
If you see you need to, do it.
Bob Anderson gave a super chat and said, I consider myself, he's answering the biblical question.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Forgot about the biblical.
I think the biblical question is, do you see yourself as an important person? And Bob Anderson says, I consider myself an important person because I am a living example.
All right.
And
Thanks for responding.
And Mamo75 says, question for Jesse. If what you think, speak, hear, and read about God, if all that is not God, how can one believe in God?
That's a good question. Reading about God is just learning about God intellectually. You don't really know him. You just know about him. It's like reading about Martin Luther King or Jojo or Joel, he died. It's just read about him. But once you were born again of the Spirit of God, then you would know him. But just read about him is not going to. Look at the Christians who are suffering, and they know the Bible upside down. They went down to the front and said, yes, I believe Jesus saved me. It's the Lord has saved me, blah, blah, blah. But nothing changes. But once you're truly born again of the Spirit of God, then everything will change. It would just be different. You would be able to see. Let him have the mic, and then you come and tell me and read this for me.
Oh, but you need to hold the mic for me.
There's two. He wanted to make a statement a while back. You don't want to make it? Oh, okay. So this letter is from a priest, right?
Yes.
A priest.
Yes.
And
Archbishop Carlo Viganò.
Did he write this to the president?
Yes, open letter to the president.
I read this open letter. I found it on my computer accidentally, and it was an amazing letter. So I asked James, told James, you got to read it to you guys today. It's so good. I don't want to build you up so much about it, but to me it was so good. You know how you build somebody up, and then they taste the cake and it wasn't that good? Your wife cook a good meal, right? You come home, oh, this is so good, honey, you're going to love this meal. And you're like, yeah, I can't wait. And then you sit down to eat. It ain't that good. And what do? You got to lie. It was good. So I don't want to build you up so much about it, but it's a very, very good letter.
And it's available on LifeSiteNews.
The Great White Hope.
Dated.
You know who the Great White Hope is, right?
No.
You don't know the Great White Hope?
I'm not engaged in pop culture, really.
Oh. The Great White Hope is Donald Trump. Amazing. Yes.
So this is dated June 7th, 2020, and it goes, 8th. For the first time, the United States has in you a president who courageously defends the right to life, who is not ashamed to denounce the persecution of Christians throughout the world, who speaks of Jesus Christ and the right of citizens to freedom of worship. Your participation in the March for Life, and more recently, your proclamation of the month of April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month, are actions that can confirm which side you choose to fight on, which side you wish to fight on. And I dare to believe that both of us are on the same side in this battle, albeit with different weapons. For this reason, I believe that the attack to which you were subjected after your visit to the National Shrine of St. John Paul II is part of the orchestrated media narrative which seeks not to fight racism and bring social order, but to aggravate dispositions, not to bring justice, but to legitimize violence and crime, not to serve the truth, but to favor one political faction. And it is disconcerting that there are bishops, such as those whom I recently denounced, who, by their words, prove that they are aligned on the opposing side. They are subservient to the deep state, to globalism, to aligned thought, to the new world order, which they invoke ever more frequently in the name of a universal brotherhood which has nothing Christian about it, but which evokes the Masonic ideals of those who want to dominate the world by driving God out of the courts, out of schools, out of families, and perhaps even out of churches. The American people are mature and have now understood how much the mainstream media does not want to spread the truth, but seeks to silence and distort it, spreading the lie that is useful for the purposes of their masters. However, it is important that the good, who are the majority, wake up from their sluggishness and do not accept being deceived by a minority of dishonest people with unavowable purposes. It is necessary that the good, the children of light, come together and make their voices heard. What more effective way is there to do this, Mr. President, than by prayer? Asking the Lord to protect you, the United States, and all of humanity from this enormous attack of the enemy. Before the power of prayer, the deceptions of the children of darkness will collapse. Their plots will be revealed, their betrayals will be shown, their frightening power will end in nothing, brought to light and exposed for what it is, an infernal deception. Mr. President, my prayer is constantly turned to the beloved American nation, which I had the privilege and honor of being sent by Pope Benedict XVI as Apostolic Nuncio. In this dramatic and decisive hour for all of humanity, I am praying for you and also for all those who are at your side in the government of the United States. I trust that the American people are united with me and you in prayer to Almighty God. United against the invisible enemy of all humanity, I bless you and the First Lady, the beloved American nation, and all men and women of goodwill. Signed, Carlo Maria Viganò, Archbishop of Opiana.
Amazing. I forgot about that letter. I wanted to read it at the beginning of the service because this is an amazing time to be alive. It really, if ever there was a time to be alive in America, it's now. Because when you watch the world, it is pure evil that you're looking at. All this stuff that's happening is not about love, it's not about racism or economic depression and all the crap they're telling you. It's pure evil at work. And the children, it's so nice that you're all waking up so you can see it. We're going to win this battle. And if you're children of God, you will know that. Just because it looks bad to the eyes, God is with you. And He is allowing you to see what evil look like in a different way. Evil's in yourself, you got to overcome that. But what you see happening right now is pure evil. And the reason that letter was so good, I read that whole letter. I'm black and I can't hardly read. I read the whole thing, I'm like, wow, I like this letter. It's because I was just thinking, these people are fighting over nothing. They're liars, they're evil. All these things they say they're fighting about is not true. It's pure evil. And they hate the Christians. They hate the children of God. Christianity is the most hated religion on this side of heaven. And that's why they're trying to keep the churches closed and everything. They don't want you to pray at home, at school. They don't like that order of God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. So what you're looking at in the world with this whole Chinese virus thing and all that is pure evil. It's not even real. And if you really are a son or daughter of God, you would not become afraid and run and hide. You would stand up. And you'll be honest and you'll tell the truth. But if you just know the Bible but don't know God, have not been born of him, you're going to find yourself running. All these white people who are bowing down, they don't know God. Because if they knew God, they would never bow down to another man or woman. But they have fear, they have emotions, and they are made to be afraid all in the name of Jesus. But once you're born again, you're not of fear anymore. It's not in you. And so watch what's happening. Know that it's about evil. They're lying about what they say they want. It's about destroying white people, destroying America, destroying Christianity. It's about evil. And I never heard of anybody following an organization that was founded by radical black lesbians. That's mind-blowing. I never imagined I would see that in America. You have Christian people. There was a church of white people on their knees, underground, and some black woman reading off, "Do you promise to love the white folks?" Was that at church or school? Anybody see that? And they're like, "Oh yeah, praise the Lord. You promise to bow down to Black Lives Matter?" Praise the Lord. Every time I see one, all in the name. Those are not children of God. Because they wouldn't bow down like that if they were. So just know they're lying to you about slavery and all this stuff is all made up. This is evil. You're looking at evil in operation. And this is what God prepares us for when we become his sons and daughters. He prepares us to overcome it and deal with it. All right? Don't hate it, speak up, but deal with it. It's not true what they're saying. Don't accept it. Once you believe that lie, it got you just like that. Then you'll find yourself bowing down, burning down buildings and everything. It's not about color. It's not about male or female. It's about good versus evil. That's all it's about. It's like you were saying about your sister. They turned on him, the brother. They put him online, lying on him. That's what's going to happen to you and your family. God said he came not to to unite, but to divide the children of God from the children of Satan. And they're in your own family and everywhere. You don't have to make it happen. It'll happen on its own. All right? Last word. Yes.
Oh, just remember when Joe Biden said that if you don't vote Democrat, you're not black?
Right.
Just things like that and other examples. They're not even hiding it anymore.
Right.
They don't care if we can see what they're doing. Before they were tricky. They were very underhanded. And
it's all out now.
Now, yeah, it's all out. I'm just wondering, wouldn't that hurt them? Why are they not still trying to hide it?
When you're angry like that, you can't see what you're doing to yourself. You think you're marrying the right person. You think you're deciding the right job. You don't see how you're being influenced. So he doesn't see what he's doing. These people that are doing all this stuff now, they don't know that it's going to backfire on them, that it's not going to work. Because they believed it to a lie, and people bowing down to them. Last thing about that, you see that the mayor of Minneapolis, you see what happened to him, right? He was all crying at the funeral. Yeah, I saw that. He was all down on his knees. And so the Black Lives Matter people say, all right, get rid of all the police. Will you get rid of the police department, something like that? And he's like, no. The little beta male, no. They're like, you won't get rid of them? No. Get out of here. They ran him away. Did y'all see that? They turned on him just like that. At one of the rallies. They turned on the beta male that was doing on the mama crying. It was fake tears. But they turned on him. So evil will turn on you. Your best friend will turn on you if he or she has not been born again. But their line in the world is not truthful. It's all made up. So make sure you do the silent prayer. Speak up and don't hate. Go and forgive so God will forgive you and draw you in. And you will be in the world, but not of it. And you will see it's not about color. It's not about male or female. It's right versus wrong, good versus evil. And then all of God's children will get along. You'll be honest and fair with one another. You won't fight each other. Color won't matter. It really won't. It's the spirit. All right? So I encourage you to pray, do the silent prayer, speak up, but don't resent, and doubt every thought. There's no such thing as a true thought. Never, ever a true thought. You have to go to the bathroom, right? And you realize, oh, I can wait. And then the moment you say you can wait, Satan will say, no, you got to go now. You better go now. You drive too long. Or the meeting may last. And all of a sudden, like you can't wait to get to the bathroom. Have you noticed that? Satan gets involved with everything. Everything that you don't think he would get involved with. He has something to say about it. So doubt every thought. No such thing as a true thought. No such thing as a past or a future. All you have is right now. Come into the presence of God, because what Satan does, he has to draw you out of the present, because he cannot come into God's presence. So when you're with God, he can't come in. So he has to give you something to think about. The past or the future, which doesn't exist, then he got you. But as long as you're out of your head, down those voices, then you're with God and you'll be fine. That makes sense? All right. Oh, amazing. So we need your support. Don't forget to donate to Bond. Go to rebuildingtheman.com/church and donate. We absolutely need it. We're back on the radio tomorrow. Anybody have any questions about anything before we sign off?
I don't have a question, but
yeah.
The biblical question.
Oh, yeah. My biblical question. We are so way over time. I'm black. I won't do this again, I hope. My biblical question, how do you see yourself? Is that right? Oh, do you see yourself as an important person?
What, you want me to answer?
Yeah.
I was just reminding you of it, but I'll go ahead and answer it. I do see myself as an important person now that I'm born again of the Spirit. I feel like in God's eyes, I'm important.
Okay. Amazing. Do you see yourself as an important person? And the young lady want to answer that. I'll give my little 2 cents. Yes. You don't see yourself as
Yeah, I do. I feel like, like you said, it's really important. Children of the light really need to speak up and be in the world, and be an example for everyone
and run
else.
for office, be in politics. Don't let anyone tell you children of God should not be a part of the government. Because they're voting in laws that are going against you. Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't have, the best upbringing, but, we're really determined, to have a really good family and raise really good kids.
Yeah.
Who are going to be, great people in the world and, have more healthy relationships and show people, God's love. So I think we're very important.
Amazing. Do you see yourself as important? The young lady with the green pants, yes.
Yes, I kind of agree with her. The same thing. We want to start a family. We have to start teaching with our own, I think.
So, and that's what made you see yourself as important?
Yes.
Okay. Amazing. Yes, ma'am, real fast. You see yourself as important?
I don't think so.
You're not important?
No.
Why not?
In the sense of,
you have a low self-esteem?
This is the sense of like, I don't want to put myself high or down in any way. I want to put myself in the middle and let God work through me. And that's what I mean, because I feel like people get wrapped up into, like, when they tell you something bad, you get emotional about it, or when they tell you something good about yourself, you get all hyped up. And also it's bad that you're getting hyped up about, oh, I'm feeling proud because these other people are seeing me like that.
Yeah.
And then you begin feeling like you're important because you begin believing those thoughts. So in that sense, I try to not see myself as an important person. I try to just let it go, give it to God, and let Him.
So you do see yourself that way sometimes?
Yeah, I tend to do it more.
Huh?
Lately, I haven't done it at all, but I tend to do that.
Because of time, let me ask one guy, Esteban. I bet Esteban sees himself important.
I mean, yeah, I guess because.
See? Not surprised.
I mean, I guess I'm important enough for God to try to take me out, you know, of whatever I was in, and for like Him being patient, because I was like a difficult person to deal with, especially like earlier when I was younger. So I think I am important because He went through the hell, I guess, of taking me out. So.
God went through hell taking you out?
Yeah, or maybe not, but I guess he did it. He was patient.
He did it. It was crazy.
He was patient, I said.
Oh, you're patient.
Yeah.
All right. The white shirt. You see yourself as important?
Well, I believe that it's I just leave it to other people to determine whether I'm important or I influence their life in a way that it's significant.
You see yourself as important?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I am important because people have told me before, you know.
People told you that?
Yeah, that I influence their life in a positive way. Right. So I see it. That's
okay.
why I believe it.
All right.
I see the improvement, you know.
All right. How about you? You see yourself as important person?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just said it, and I didn't get your name, but she said it too, that if we're meant to be like the voice of truth and the light, then that is important. And if we're genuinely born again, then yeah, we would consider ourselves important.
Amazing. Irma, you see yourself as an important person? I know he's just like Esteban, so yeah. And James is like Jesus. I'm like, James, how you know you're a Christian? I'm like, Jesus. Yes.
What was the question?
Do you see yourself as an important person?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I told you. I know my important people when I see them. I mean, I know my flowers, but I know my important people.
So,
and why? And how are you important? How do you see yourself?
I know my ego sees, thinks it's important, but I know that I'm not.
You're not an important person?
No.
You're not. You have a low self-esteem?
No. Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do? Oh, pray for him. So, doesn't the Bible say that we are like a bag of cow stuff, bag of Don or something like that? Is that somewhere in the Bible? Huh? Yeah, the Bible, even God doesn't think that much of us, right? It said we are no more than a bag of Don. Did y'all know that? Yeah. So you ain't worth cow stuff. You're about that important, right? The reason I asked this question because I realized that I am nothing. I'm not important at all. And people who try to make you feel important, they don't really think that you're important. They're only doing it because they want something from you. And if you fall for it and you start to think that it's true, in the moment they cannot get what they want from you, then all of a sudden you're not nothing. You're not so important. But when you really get to know yourself, you're going to see you're not important at all. And no one really think that you're important. They only think it if they want something from you. They don't even think that the president is important. They only think that because they want something from him. Either be seen with him or get something from him or be validated by him. But just think about in your life how people treated you once they got what they wanted from you. They don't think the same way from you, or you disagree with them. All of a sudden, you ain't nothing. They were building that ego, like what you guys were talking about, the ego, right? The ego will fall for the lie, and you'll walk around believing that you're important, but you're not. Even what I do, the people say they love me, I know they don't. They just lie. The moment they disagree with me, or the moment I say something that they don't like or disagree with, all of a sudden, just is not the same. So we're nothing. Of ourselves, we can do nothing, and we are nothing. And there's nothing like living as nothing, not pretending at all. And that's why you must be born again, so you can really see. It frees you up in every way. It kills the ego. And that way, when people stroke you, you treat the stroke just like you do the non-stroking. Someone build you up. When they put you down, no problem. Because it was all a lie, both the same. All right? So in reality, y'all can drop your ego, you're nothing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a blessing to know. Yeah.
What about the self-esteem?
Huh?
What about the self-esteem?
That's a person that's judging himself. You judge yourself as good, then you feel good. You judge yourself as bad, now you feel bad. So you're up and down. That's why you got to come out of out of the darkness. But you're really not that important. And to the women, you're really not important to guys. If they did, they would treat you right. They wouldn't try to get sex from you before marriage. If they really thought you was important to them. Once they get to sex, you ain't nothing. They want to turn over and smoke a cigar and go to sleep. And you're like, oh, come and love me, hold me. I don't want to hold you. That wasn't real love. They were just faking it. They made you believe you were important, and you were not. Because your ego made it happen. But you're not important. And it's okay. It's not a low self-esteem. It's not about self-esteem. People who go up and down in self-esteem, you're judging yourself. You're listening to the lie in your head. It makes you feel up, and then it makes you feel down. It makes you feel up. That's what people do to you. You're not important. I'm not important, and I'm so fine with that. That's good. All right? Last word. All right, and then I'm done. Oh, man.
Yeah, just a brief question. Like, what about in terms of your job? Like, are you not important, like, to your boss and stuff, like, for work?
No.
To, like to get some, I mean, like, not that.
You are an important tool that your boss needs to get the job done. But he doesn't care about you.
Right, yeah, I mean, but it's important that, like, let's say, like, you be prepared for your work, right? Like,
yeah, you should always do your best in all that you do.
Right.
And with the right attitude, absolutely.
Right.
But don't think that your boss thinks you're important.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay. Of course.
All right?
Yeah.
And because people who think that way, it's hard to work with them anyway. Mm-hmm. People who think they're important at work, it's hard to work with those. But those who are there knowing reality and they're there to perform a job, they're getting paid to do the job, you can get along with them very easily.
So another quick question then, so don't mean to take up more time, but it's a quick question that has to do with that. What about in terms of like at work, like how do you like let's say lead at work, right? If you have, if you're kind of in a position where you kind of have to lead maybe, like how do you go about that without thinking that you're important, but just trying to like,
were you like a supervisor or something?
Yeah, or like you're just leading like a work, something that you're doing. Like I work in air conditioning, and like if you're trying to install something and you have a helper or whatever, like how do you go about, trying to get the job done fast and everything properly?
By being honest with that person, don't resent them, but be honest with them. But just don't hold anything against them. And you be an example of what they should become. And just be honest with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have one last question too. Sorry.
Yeah.
What about like in terms of like with when you're with like when your boss comes in and you feel like he's judging your work or something like that, and you feel like they're being passive aggressive with you, like how do you address that with them? And like let's say maybe there are some merit to them being aggressive to you and maybe in some type of way, like you do need to improve on some things. How do you deal? How would you deal with your boss in situations like that? Be happy about it.
Have the same attitude that you would have if your boss came in and told you, you are wonderful. You're an amazing worker. I love the way you fix the toilet, whatever you do, right?
Yeah.
And so if you come in the next day and he's like, oh, you did a crappy job on that toilet. You need to do this. You have the same attitude that you had when he was praising you. Okay. All right, because they both are imposters anyway, so that way you don't go up and down. But just always do your best and appreciate the criticism, because you may learn something about yourself that you had not realized yet.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Don't take anything personal.
Okay.
And then you fly like a bird.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. My brand new biblical question. Anybody disagree with that about you really nothing? You disagree? Yeah. Maybe you think you're something?
Yeah.
What are you?
Me?
Oh,
I'm a tool of God.
You're a tool of God?
Yeah.
And you think that?
He can do what he does with anybody.
You think that makes you important?
It makes me important that I'm good.
You are good?
Yeah.
Man, make sure you come back next Sunday. We just don't have time to get into that. I'm so sorry.
I'm not important
in the world,
But
not
you-
important to other people.
And you think you're important to God?
I think God likes using me, yeah.
Oh, okay. But you don't think that you are important to other
Nobody's
people
gonna
and to
think I'm
yourself?
important.
Yeah, that's true. All right. But we'll talk about the God thing too.
All right.
Because God will let your hair get cut off. Remember that guy, Paul? Didn't Paul get killed? Wasn't he killed? Huh?
Sooner to his side.
Yeah.
Brings me back to him.
Amazing. So listen, a brand new biblical question. And I got this question from a young man that I was counseling with. He lived in, I think he lives in New Orleans. So he texted me one day and he said, Jesse, if I am born in America and I am not white, am I a minority? Isn't that an amazing question? If I'm born in America and I'm not white, am I a minority? That's a nice biblical question. Why y'all looking at me like that? Is that a good question or no?
Yeah, but we want to go.
You want to go? Is that the guy with the hat on? So thank you all for tuning in, but that's my new biblical question, all right? If I'm born in America and I'm not white, am I a minority? Such a good question. And don't forget to donate to Bond. Go to rebuildingaman.com. We have the best counseling service on this side of heaven. If you need counseling, we're taking them in-house now, as well as phone and Skype or FaceTime. All right, thank you so much, and thank you all. I appreciate it. That was a long one, but hopefully it will work it. So what we're going to do,